Good evening, everybody. Meeting number 36 is now called to order on this June 17, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. We are in the Thomas J. Smith Council Chambers. Would you all please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Kathleen, roll call, please.
Phillips.
Here.
Graham Murray. Here. McCampbell.
Here.
Rinker.
Here.
Wilson.
Okay, everybody's here but one. Let's get the party started. First tonight, we have a proclamation of retirement. Good old Jeffrey. Goodness gracious, bro. That's a long time. Man, I've seen you all over the streets of Burlington. We sure appreciate all your service. We want to recognize you tonight. First off, we have N framed up. Very pretty.
nice.
Very nice. It says, whereas the city of Burlington honors Jeffrey Brown for his long tenure of outstanding service to the citizens of Burlington, Iowa. Whereas Jeffrey has been an outstanding and dedicated employee for 32 years and 8 months. We're not going to shortchange him his time. Jeffrey began his career with the city in October of 1986 as a part-time bus driver in the transportation department. On March 30th, 1987, Jeffrey transferred to the street and sewer department as a street sewer maintenance worker number 2, where he remained until his retirement. And whereas Jeffrey has been a loyal employee throughout his career with the city of Burlington, Jeffrey is very versatile from his carpentry and concrete skills to operating the city's many pieces of large equipment. He's going into retirement, so those that want him to do side jobs, he's not interested. Unless it's me, I'll be calling you. He worked many weekends and holidays away from his family, thank you, Jeff, during snowstorms as well as in heavy rain events and floods. He will be missed by his City of Burlington colleagues and the city of our community and the citizens of our community. Jeffrey has truly made Burlington a better place to live, work, and play. Now, therefore, we, the City Council of the City of Burlington, Iowa, do hereby and recognize and commend Jeffrey on his conscientious and faithful service. We extend our appreciation and our congratulations on a successful career, and we wish him the very best in retirement. Signed and sealed on this 17th day of June 2019, Shane A. McCampbell, Mayor, and also, this is what they give the important people after 32 years. The City of Burlington hereby honors Jeffrey S. Brown in recognition and appreciation of 32 years of dedicated service, faithfully and loyally serving the citizens of Burlington. Retired June 28, 2019, presented by the Burlington City Council. And of course, I've got a bracelet that I got to force you to put on your wrist for me tonight. But Jeff, we certainly appreciate you. Come on down. 32 years. Yeah. This guy's a glutton for punishment.
Come in, outfit.
Let's everybody get in
Okay.
on this, man. This is Jim. Let's get some of this. You're so tall. Can you move down, man, so that we can all kind of blend in with you? Sure.
Can I have some of that?
I can do that. I can do side by side.
How about that?
I'll make sure.
Ready? There you go.
Please do, man. Take your time.
Wow.
Jeffrey S., 32 years. Talk to
2 and a
us.
half years, yeah. Actually, it was 2.5 years ago I was in front of you. You know, it's how fast time goes. It seems like it was yesterday. I just want to take a moment to thank the city of Burlington for giving me an opportunity for not only a steady job, but a career, you know, and retirement, which I wasn't expecting at the time. I was just looking for steady work in October of '86. And it went a little further than I thought it would. But I have a tendency to do things on the side, and I build houses in my spare time. I'm working on number 4 since I've been a city employee. Number 4 and the last one, I guarantee you. My stepfather, who is a self-made man, always told me I need to go here. I need to go build houses, make some real money. And I kept telling him, no, I think I got a good gig. I think I'll just stay put.
I think you got a good
I think maybe I'll do this in my spare time and see how things roll. He says, you know, you got golden handcuffs. You know, it's too good to leave. And I said, no, Bix, I think you got it wrong. I think I got a golden parachute. And I was right. So now that it's here, I can tell him I was right.
You're right.
Anyway, thank you so much. You've got a good young crew out there, and you have no worries. Bunch of good, hard-working guys out there, and I'm leaving them in good hands. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
this is my late brother's birthday, and his wife and his daughter are waiting for me, so I've got to get.
All right.
All right.
Have
Thanks
fun.
for coming down,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
All right.
Mayor,
Next on the,
microphones.
Microphone's down.
Just make sure you got them pulled up. to-
Hello?
Just make sure that
Is that
you
better?
just got them pulled up to where you can hear it.
Okay.
are you satisfied now, James?
Yes, almost.
This guy. All right, next on the agenda tonight is the consent agenda. Let me start again. Is the consent agenda. All matters listed under item 1, consent agenda, having been discussed, are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussions of these items. If a discussion is desired, the item will be removed from the consent agenda, will be considered separately. I'm having a hard time reading tonight. On the consent, we have the usual finances and miscellaneous, minutes of previous meetings, payroll and city claims, beer, liquor, wine, and cigarettes, reports, and bonds. We have 4 resolutions tonight. One is a resolution approving nuisance abatements for various properties. The second is a resolution authorizing acceptance of quit-claim deed from Grow Greater Burlington, Inc. The third is a resolution approving Burlington Urban Service Fair and hours of operation changes for July 26, 2019. The fourth is a resolution approving site agreement between CWA Local 7176 and the City of Burlington. And then we have 3 public hearings set for July 1st. The first is consideration of plans and specs for the 2019 Dankworth Park Pool Improvement Project. The second is consideration of an encroachment agreement with Y&J Properties LLC for encroachment into city right-of-way adjacent to 425 Valley Street, Burlington, Iowa. And then the third is consideration of plans and specs for the 2018 Front Street Hawkeye Arch Sewer Repair Project. Is there anybody from the audience that would like to have any of these items removed from consent? Thank you, Leon. Council,
Good. Good.
I get a motion?
Your Honor, I have a motion to approve all listed under item 1 consent agenda.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen?
Billups.
Aye.
Graham Murray.
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Okay, this is time for consideration of proposal to enter into a sewer revenue loan and disbursement agreement and to borrow money thereunder and a principal amount not to exceed $8,176,000. James?
So this is for the Locust Basin project that we're in the middle of. We got a bid back, 6.2 million in that neighborhood. And we've had other expenditures along the way. The total fees for the project, administrative, financial, and legal expenses were listed at $35,000. Planning and design expenses for the whole basin included, did an overall plan, and then specific construction documents for the Locust Basin, $1.5 million. Construction phase engineering expenses estimated in the $400,000 range. Contingency of $600,000 puts the total project at $8,735,000, along with loan origination fee with state revolving loan funds, which is what we're looking to use to finance the majority of this project. Puts overall project $8,776,000. Out of that, we have $600,000 available to us from CDBG funds, Community Development Block Grant. The rest of it would be in the form of the SRF loan. You have a resolution that's attached to this that to be considered after we do this. It shows a repayment schedule on the bonds over 20 years. The interest rate is right at 2% for that. The resolution itself identifies all the other outstanding loans that we have, both other SRF or state revolving fund loans, as well as revenue bonds and GO bonds that are associated with the sewer fund, that all are kind of coming out of the obligations of the sewer revenues that we collect. Sewer revenue funds, or an SRF loan, is payable from the charges that we have for sewer service. The repayments on this would be made out of that, not out of GO, or general obligation debt, which would be property taxes. And this keeps us in line with moving forward with trying to stay in compliance with our consent order.
Questions or concerns from the audience? Mr. Shahan?
Leon Shahan, 1821 Mount Pleasant Street. I guess the first question is, since this is going to be repaid with sewer revenues, what's that going to do to my sewer fees?
Well, we talked with the state, Iowa Department of Natural Resources. They essentially say they want us on a path of seeing consistent increases in fees, about 3% a year, which is what we've been doing over the last few years.
And we've already approved, I believe, 5 years out of those?
Yes, and to do this project, we can work this project within that. They are, in order to stay within, even within a schedule that has 3% annual rate increases and no more, would require them to extend the time frame that we have on our consent decree, which is a major concern and something that we're trying to work with
I
them.
understand that. The next question on financing this, is it possible to use property tax revenues, or is that prohibited?
For this debt, it is not possible. We do have other debt that's out there, and we could take on debt in the future where it would be feasible to do that. But this is structured in a way that we are telling them it's out of our sewer revenues.
I understand that, but down the road, it is possible to use property tax revenues if we get in a pinch,
So-
if you had them.
If we had them. And yes, what you could do, and I haven't seen it happen, but we can do a transfer from the general fund of regular property tax dollars to the sewer fund and then make the payment out of the sewer fund.
That's all.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? I see none. Council? Can I get a motion?
No. Motion to close?
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen?
Phillips,
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinker,
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing and approving a loan and disbursement agreement and providing for the issuance and securing the payment of $8,176,000 taxable sewer revenue bonds, Series 2019 Charlie C.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen, let's vote.
Phillips,
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
C.
Rinker,
Yes.
Wilson.
Aye.
Okay. Resolutions.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving the final plat of the first addition to Beams subdivision.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Tisland?
This is a, excuse me, a two-lot subdivision located in the county 2-mile area that the city has review. They're looking to separate, they have two buildings on these lots that they're looking to separate to their own individual lots. They previously subdivided Lot 1 to the south from this lot and constructed a shooting range there, and here they have two existing buildings, somewhat shown on the two lots. It's again located on Mill Dam Road, just to the west of Flint Creek and west of Highway 99, but it's considered a minor subdivision, also goes through the county review process.
Questions or concerns from the audience? I see none. Council?
Good.
Okay. Kathleen?
Phillips,
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinker,
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Number two.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving fiscal year 2017 Tiger Grant Agreement.
Second.
Moved in second. Mr. McGregor?
Good evening. This resolution would approve a Tiger grant agreement for which we found out that we were awarded last year. So this grant agreement has taken quite a long time to process. There's quite a bit of information in there. The main thing that it outlines is a timetable for engineering and the way that this process will be designed, built, and then observed by the DOT, Federal Highway. As you can see, the start of preliminary engineering started March 1, 2019. When we started this agreement process, 6 months went by in a matter of a second. And so those timetables already were in place. We got awarded the advanced construction, which you approved 2 weeks ago or a month. And so the engineering firm has started some of that process. The next thing that it outlines is the money. Of the Tiger grant is $17 million, but it also talks about another $2.2 million. $1.7 million in federal funds is the Federal Fish and Wildlife for the
US
boating infrastructure,
US
the
Fish and
big
Wildlife.
grant. And then another $500,000 in state funds, which is rail crossing funds. It talks about where those come from. Part of the application and not in this agreement is the local match for this job. Overall dollars in the application was in the $83 or $86 million bracket. It talked about all the sewer separation work and the flood mitigation work, kind of prior to the Tiger grant and then after the Tiger grant agreement. So it's what got us the money, but in here it talks about 19.2 million, 17 of which is the Tiger. And then it discusses performance reporting. As a part of this federal money, we're required to oversee performance measures. We've hired Southeast Iowa Regional Planning to monitor to that. And then you can see in the agreement I think we have 3 of them listed to try and give the federal highway some idea on the ways that this is improved. I think it's pedestrian crossing, annual traffic per day. I forgot what the third one was. But this has kind of been a long time coming to try and work on getting this agreement done. So I can answer any questions. There's a lot more to this document than what I just went over. But
Let me deal with audience questions. Any questions from the audience first? Mr. Ripke.
Chris Repke, 2228 Madison Avenue. Question that came up, it said budget implications none, but in the grant and reading it, it had the boating infrastructure in there, in the Tiger grant. In past, and I couldn't put my hands in it, was memos to the city council and that the city cost for the docks would be $1 million to put it in. You had the Fish and Wildlife grant, some other grant coming in, but the sole outlay to the city would be $1 million. So by approving this with this document, with the boating infrastructure in there, does that mean the city will be required to put the docks in and pay $1 million toward doing that?
This document doesn't require us to. However, going after the U.S. Fish and Wildlife funds would, and the council has expressed their willingness to move forward in the past. So, I mean, we've kind of communicated to U.S. DOT that we were in the process of trying to get those funds. If we didn't get the U.S. Fish and Wildlife funds, from my understanding, DOT doesn't hold that against us. They understand when you seek funds, if you don't receive it, that's just a part of the project that doesn't go. But yes, this is part of an overall scheme that this document itself doesn't tie us into a requirement to spend, but some of the other things that the council has talked about does have a match between the splash pad funding, that was Great Places. The funding, we have some match, and then the docks itself has a local match requirement, and the two of those together is close to $1 million that we know we need to put forth to make this happen.
There was some
Everything
voting
happen
infrastructure in there as well, wasn't there?
for that, yeah.
So, but I mean, why is that then part of this agreement, the boating infrastructure, if it's kind of separate from the Tiger grant?
This does talk about putting in the dock, and the wording in here does have the dock in it, so it does have to be included in here.
Okay, but
But it doesn't, the document itself, everything that had local funds required in it, part of our negotiations over the last year was to make sure that we had all of that language out of this. This money is not, it in and of itself does not require us to spend any funds. But Chris, to your point, if we move forward with the docks, there is that piece, there's a component in there that is gonna have a requirement for funds, and they need to know that. And so you're on point to bring it up as something to make sure that everyone keeps in mind.
The steering committee will have an overall determination as to what projects are actually pursued, though, correct?
As long as it's within the scope
Within the
of
scope
what's.
of whatever the Tiger was looking for.
So,
Right.
because was the boat docks in the scope of the Tiger?
Correct. They are.
It was in
Yep.
there? Was it, but is
It
not
doesn't have
fun?
funds delineated towards it, although I think funds can be put towards it, because it's pretty, it has a set of funds. If you look at the budget sheets that are on there, that's construction phase 2.
Yeah.
You have boat ramp construction. Really, I guess,
Parking.
that's the closest thing that you could get to, that you could put towards this. Yeah, go ahead and put it on. The boat ramp construction at the 280, then the parking lot and gather area construction at 1.2, and the landscaping enhancement 1.2. I think that we have a little bit of room within that to have some discussion with a portion of those funds to potentially go towards the dock cost, depending on where numbers come back. We haven't gone out we haven't done design work on any of it.
Right.
But, so there is a little bit of moving around that could potentially be done, but we are, if we do those docks, and we use US Fish and Wildlife funds to do it, we have to have local money be a part of it because of the wording within US Fish and Wildlife, not because of this.
So there is, by passing this, there is budget implications.
There, if we are awarded the other funds too. And so, and the council has
But that's
talked
with-
about this. They've built it within the 5-year CIP that they're putting money into it. But yes, they're all tied somewhat together.
Okay, so there is budget implications, though, with passing this tonight.
I wouldn't necessarily say that, though.
Theoretically,
I mean, everything we do is well budgeted.
we're not approving any specific project here or funding.
But it's still in there, so.
It's associated.
It's associated. I mean, it just makes me nervous. I think it's, and we can debate this when it comes up later. I think the city needs more things than boat docks. But that's another debate for another time. But I think, I'm just worried that it being in here sets you on a path of doing it no matter what, and puts budget implications of $1 million that you're going to have to spend if you pass it with the boat docks in here. That's my concern, and sets you on that pathway of spending money on something that you're forced to spend money on.
See, I don't feel forced to spend the money on the docks. I look at this as a blessing. We've got the Mississippi River right there. I think this is going to be a blessing, and that is open up for debate. But the
That's
bottom
open-
line
that's
is,
open up
this
for
is part of the
debate.
process that we have to go
Okay.
through, and as far as I knew, last time all the council talked, we were all on board.
And from a staff perspective, we would, even though there's been no resolutions or formal borrowings, from a planning perspective, the council is already committed to doing the other pieces. They have to formally go through the process of applying, but we asked to make sure that, here a couple of months ago, if this is what you want to have us committed to.
Right on.
They still have some fun, they still have to make those other decisions later on, but they have already put us on a path for doing those things.
All right, but there is budget implications to passing this tonight.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that was, okay. I wish you could take out the boat docks and keep that out of the Tiger and bring it up something, but I don't know if you can do that with the document already. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Anybody else from the audience? Mr. Shahan?
Leon Shahan, 1821 Mount Pleasant Street. I'm kind of confused of what we're doing with this Tiger grant. Does it have any impact as far as flood protection via the sewer work? What's happening?
No, it doesn't. It has some stormwater improvements with the permeable pavers and things like that, but it's very minimal towards anything to do with flooding.
So nothing to do with the
Nope.
flood wall and
Nope.
getting stormwater over the flood wall?
No.
All right.
Any other questions or concerns from the audience? I see none. Council? Kathleen?
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray.
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Number 3.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing fund transfers for fiscal year 2019.
Second.
Moved and second. Stephanie?
So this is a new administrative code law that came into effect in April that before we do any transfers now, we have to have them approved by the city council. You need to show the fund that's the transfer's coming out of and the fund that it's going into, and then a description of what is the purpose of the transfer, and then also the dollar amount. So in the Exhibit A is where I've listed our second half transfers for fiscal year 19. These are the ones that I'll do this month, June. So these, all the transfers listed here were in our budget document, so they were actually approved. This is just another step now we need to do. I'll be back sometime in July or August to approve the FY '20 transfers, so you can spell them out and see them, so.
You should say it like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back.
I'll be back, yeah. So if anybody has any questions, these are pretty standard.
Any questions from the audience? Council, we good?
No, I like it.
Okay. Kathleen, let's handle it.
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray.
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Number 4.
Your Honor, I have a resolutions for support of integrated management plan.
Second.
Mr. McGregor?
The resolution in front of you would be similar to the one that you did with the sewer master plan. It's a resolution of support for the integrated management plan. Upon that, we would then write a letter and present it as a draft to the DNR. So we started down the path with the integrated management plan back with the EPA, 2017 in the fall. The EPA gave us essentially a framework or a structure for an integrated plan. There wasn't a lot of technical help with that. So we hired Vinscher and Kim, and then also Dustin Miller. He's an attorney with a lot of water background. So we created this integrated management plan. It takes pieces of the sewer master plan. There's a lot of data and numbers that are collected from that. But what it does is it takes it and disseminates it in a different way. Integrated plan takes the idea of not looking at a system in itself, but systems as a whole, a community as a whole. And it takes and puts the information in front of the people and lets them have a stake in the process of saying what's most important for prioritization. This is Leo's presentation, so I don't know what I'm going to be reading. Do you want to just go forward on it? Keep going. Ultimately, what we wanted to end up with was a CIP list that we are going to try and go forward with to try and present to the DNR to say, listen, the consent order that we have in front of us is to fully separate our sewers by 2025. We've talked about a dollar figure in the 110, 115 million bracket to separate per the consent order. And we know that that's not financially feasible to do. So what we're trying to do is to say, hey, listen, we have sewer costs that are elsewhere in the system that are of just as important, if not more important, than separation. And hopefully lets us tell the DNR what we want to try and tackle from a project list on our terms. Meanwhile, we'll have to show what kind of environmental benefits this proves through some monitoring and things like that. So I think Leo did a pretty good job explaining it, probably better than I did, but I can answer any questions on it. I think this is a huge piece in our negotiation moving forward. I think it's going to be big for the city to have the consent order renegotiated in a more favorable manner. It doesn't mean that we're not going to get off scotch-free. We're going to have to spend money on our system, but it will allow us to target the things that are maybe a little bit more important than combined systems.
And if I recall right, in the work session, Leo was pretty confident that this document would go a long ways to getting that negotiation handled. Is that not correct?
Yep.
Questions from the audience, concerns? Council, are we good?
Good.
Good.
Let's get her done. Kathleen?
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray. Aye. McCampbell.
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Last resolution of the evening, LGM.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving the agreement for paramedic intercept services with La Harpe Volunteer Ambulance Service.
Second.
Chief, thank you.
Good evening. So this is to update an agreement we've had in place with La Harpe. They got a new ambulance director, and he just wanted an agreement with his name on it. So this agreement covers when La Harpe calls us for paramedic level service. So when we meet them on the side of the road somewhere, usually in Henderson County, and our crew gets in the back of their ambulance and continues on to Great River, then we bill the ambulance service for those. We bill La Harpe $300. So same as we charge any other service for paramedic intercepts, so.
So, let me understand the intercept service. So we continue on in their ambulance, or they transfer to ours?
No, we continue in their ambulance.
In
So
their ambulance.
our paramedic gets out, takes all the equipment that they need,
Okay.
hop in the back of their rig, and usually then they just take off and keep going towards the hospital.
And our rig comes back?
And our rig, it goes out to Great River and picks up the
Picks up,
paramedic.
okay,
and-
okay.
and yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Just want to make sure I had that part right.
yeah.
Do I have any questions or concerns for the chief from the audience? I see none. Council?
No.
We've already been here. Let's get her done. Kathleen?
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray.
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Okay, this is the time that you've all been waiting for. Comments from the audience? Is there one? Mr. Shahan?
Once again, Leon Shahan, 1821 Mount Pleasant Street. I guess in the conversations that I've been following here, I have concerns about priorities. I certainly don't want to sound hostile to the city workers that tried to prevent the flooding downtown. I thought, quite frankly, their lives were endangered needlessly. Essentially, we were protecting what used to be a boat landing. It was meant to get wet. At the same time, I've been watching the news, and we're going to continue on with what I call the levy arms race. And you're looking, with all the expenses that I've seen and my estimate of cost overruns, a $100 million project trying to restrain the Mississippi River when we're also under the gun to quit dumping raw sewage in the Mississippi River. I think we need to stick with ending dumping raw sewage in the Mississippi River. There's no way that you can restrain with this levy arms race. If we raise our levies or build a flood wall, Illinois is going to do something, and it's back and forth. You're not going to restrain that river. And I'm really concerned about trying to build the flood wall. Most people don't understand. The river out there is not on bedrock. Depending on where you're at, you've got to send pilings down 100+ feet. That's going to be incredibly expensive. And I don't know that where the buried river channels are out there, where they're at exactly. I've never seen that document. There was an effort by a number of organizations to try and map that. But you have the possibility that there's 3 buried river channels out there. The old Iowa River, the Mississippi River, and what's now Flint Creek used to be the Flint River. It went all the way to what's now Oskaloosa. I don't know that you've really mapped where those old river channels are. And I hate to see getting into a project where you budgeted $10 million to build another section of flood wall, and because you have to sink pilings twice as far as what you thought, it becomes $20 million. That money has to come from somewhere, and it will be out of the money that's allocated for what you're going to have to spend separating the sewers. I want City Council just to drop the flood wall project. a lot of the land you're trying to protect was taken from the river. Let the river have it back. I can show you old photographs. That's all fill. But we need to do something about dumping raw sewage into the Mississippi. That needs to stop, and that needs to be the priority, not the flood wall.
Thanks, Leon.
And to Leon's point on that, when the first phase of the project was estimated on, 50 foot to get down to bedrock, and we had a lot of, several sections that were 75 feet. And it, what's that?
You don't get to bedrock.
Yeah.
It's just a pound.
And it, doing the efforts that we did cost a significant amount more than what the original numbers were. So, I mean, he is, not to the extent that he had just stated, but again, it's still not getting everything done that would be nice to be done.
We're not, that work is mostly done.
That first phase,
I mean,
and we'll have
we're
more
coming
sheet
towards
pile-
the river at
We'll have
this
more
point.
pilings to
Yeah.
do.
Any other comments from the audience? Mr. Ripke?
Chris Rutke, 2228 Madison Avenue. This is a question, I didn't drive it today. Has Central and Division lights been redone on yet? I didn't drive it today. I was at home all day.
No, and I guess Nick could kind of address it, but your crew has been so inundated with other tasks that, with the flood, as a result of the flood, haven't gotten to their daily tasks, let alone the projects such as that, and we've lost several weeks.
Discuss contract.
What's that?
We discussed contracting that job.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice, because, police chief, like, you tend to, if you see it green, you tend to, and people are doing it, because you have to wait a long time.
Sorry about that.
You tend to rush that light, because you don't know how long it's gonna be green, and you don't wanna sit there, where there's no other traffic. You tend to push it a little bit more down that hill, either south or north on Central, just to try to make the light, so you don't have to wait forever. Just, I mean,
You're
it
the
needs
person
to-
that blasted by me. No, I'm just
so,
kidding.
it really needs to kinda get pushed up. It's been a long time. I understand what happened with the winter and all that, but it needs kinda,
Thanks for bringing that up.
thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know I don't know if you reviewed Nick's report from Public Works for this last month, but I think your street crew was 50% of their time towards flood wall for the month, and property maintenance was at 47. So they've just haven't been able to keep up with their daily tasks, and some of these other projects, you're hitting one that we've been very pointedly not been able to get to.
Any other comments from the audience? I see none. Thank you. You guys have been fantastic tonight. Thank you to all of you at home. Let's close out with closing comments tonight. Mr. Tisdale?
Nope.
Kathleen?
No.
Okay. Counselor?
Oh, yeah.
Nope.
Get your smiles on. I believe it's July 20th. The American Queen is docking.
She does it for me,
So
man.
get ready, get ready. And also be practicing those smiles for Ragbri. Be here. The riders will rally to the alley on July 26th. So do your sun dance or whatever. I don't want any rain for the riders.
Is that all you got?
That's it.
All right. Can you, cameraman, can you get a close-up on that little medallion she's got? That's just a lovely piece. I don't know where she got it
My
from.
mother gave me that. Thank you, Shane.
Thank you for,
Thank you, Mom.
thank you for wearing it tonight. It's lovely. I would never
You
wear
guys
it,
need
but
a
it looks great
moment?
on you. No, I think we can move forward now.
All right, good.
Counselor,
I don't have anything.
you interrupted the conversation that we were having.
Yeah,
Just
I
to say
was-
that you don't
So
have
you have
anything.
nothing?
Just saying I have nothing.
Document the selfishness, chief. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yep, we just have a bunch of fun events going on downtown. Of course, Farmers Market. Hopefully, it'll be good weather. And then my favorite event of the year is the Snake Alley Festival of Film, which starts on Thursday and goes until Sunday. And it's just hundreds of indie films, films that have won awards throughout the world, and it's really a good time. And if it's warm, the Capitol Theater has air conditioning and snacks and adult beverages.
It's fun.
Well, all
I did
right,
it last
good.
year with my son. We had a good time. Had a good time.
Concert, because I passed the weekend. Go ahead, Nick.
Two things. Bees games. As a community, we're lucky to have the bees, so make sure you're attending games. Taste of Burlington is coming around June 30th. It's actually also at Community Field. The restaurants will be serving from 11 till 2. And then don't forget this weekend, we have a concert out at Westland Mall that was moved out there, originally supposed to be downtown, that the Burlington Riverfront Entertainment is putting on. I think we've got Granger Smith and 38 Special rolling in.
Thursday, Friday,
So,
Saturday.
yeah.
Thursday's free, and then country night is
Two,
Friday. Saturday's wrong.
three nights of entertainment, but two great bands that I'm familiar with that are coming in, so it should be a really good show. That's it.
Nick McGregor?
The river has receded quite a ways. I think we're at 17.7 currently. So most of the parking lot is now clear, and you can see kind of what's left in its wake. We've been in all the buildings and assessed them. Our insurance company is in tomorrow to begin the port and auditorium. Don probably has a more accurate timeline on the lift station, but it'll be a while for us to clean up. The auditorium in of itself is probably several months. As I sent it a press release, the arena floor over on the southwest corner of the stage is pretty buckled, and it's actually grown some since with the humidity in there. We're pumping out the basement and the boiler room of that area, and so hopefully we can get the assessment done and we can begin cleanup. That's the reason why we have not begun cleanup. We have not had the insurance company in to document what we need to. So that will happen, and then we'll begin cleanup. We'll probably have several contracts coming through for that type of cleanup effort. But we just have to wait till tomorrow and see where we go. But that's all I really got.
So the lift station?
Tentatively another week.
That's coming another week?
Is that about right? Or so?
I'm hoping to have it up by.
Tentatively another week or so.
Okay, thanks.
James?
Yeah, the costs on that, probably all the different pieces, I wouldn't be surprised if you get to 1.5 million. We've gotten the insurance adjustment on the, or estimate on the, the depot, thank you for buildings. I had 3 contractors have gone through the facility, and you're waiting bids back on that, and when you get them, they'll start that piece, but you're at 100,000 range on that facility. Last year, the last time, the auditorium was at 350, and risers are damaged this time. They weren't damaged in the past. The HVAC unit, I think, is non-commissioned. From my understanding, they couldn't get it to work today. That hasn't happened in the past, so that's most likely going to be a replacement cost on top.
Elevator?
Elevator, I don't think had any issues that I knew of, but
One was up, but I thought the other one was down.
The one on the west side was down when we walked in.
there's when was that?
When we walked in the first time.
Yeah, they've had a lot of things that have come back up since, but
They got power back up.
yeah, they didn't have power when you were in there. But, I mean, there's just a lot of pieces that are gonna take a significant amount of time. It was close to half a year last time with the parquet floor when it buckled. So to think that we're gonna be any quicker on that this time around with the auditorium, there just aren't gonna be events there this fall. Long and short of it. Other things to think about, Chamber, the partnership has brought on a new person, Della Schmidt. They had the welcoming reception tonight down at the Arts Center. Make sure that as you get a chance to welcome her to the community. I think Winona, Minnesota is where she's from. Has significant experience. One of her areas of expertise has been in workforce development, and that has been a high priority for our local business community, just given the tight labor market. Then we're not the only ones that are subject to that, but it's certainly something that is very high high priority. League of Cities meeting, for those of you who may have the ability to consider attending this fall, September 25 to 27 up in Dubuque. Please make sure that you get registered. The sooner you do, if there's some of the workshops, if you want to attend and be a part of, some of them do fill up fast, so a lot of the general events you can wait a significant amount of time yet, but if you're doing any of the specialized things, if you want to be involved, you need to get set up with that fairly fast. So coordinate that through Katie if you're going to do that. Another item, the school, as the state approved extension of the penny sales tax for school infrastructure, they are now in the process of figuring out what does that mean for what are their future facility needs. One of those is their auditorium. And there was a discussion that we had here a couple of years ago as we were trying to figure out what we were doing with our auditorium. Is this an opportunity to potentially look at coordinating with them in the future? We may or may not, as a city, have an interest in doing that, but at least as they start to have those discussions about what their facility should look like, we need to make sure that we're at least involved with that to be able to let them know where we stand on that. So that's something that will be a topic over the next year or two. I don't know how fast they're planning on moving forward on that discussion, but I know that that's one of the items that they'll be looking at funding with that.
Okay.
And that was it for what I had.
Do we have radio this week?
Nope.
I want to wish Rosa Hernandez happy retirement. She retired. I can't remember how many years she's been teaching, but forever. And so Rosa, congratulations on your retirement. Also, I just want to give a shout out to Chief Kramer. He was showing off his legs at the Juneteenth this weekend. It was shameful. It really was shameful. But anyways, it was good to see him representing. Which brings me to Stephanie Snooker, who is at just about every event. And Steph, I want to give you some points for that because just about every event I usually see you at. And if I don't, I'm usually surprised, or it's because I missed you. So I just want to give you props for representing and always showing up. Steph's everywhere, so I don't give you points for that. Also, I just want to give a quick shout out to Captain Hoshek. I know when it comes to the fire department, they get shady. You don't want to recognize one person, recognize us all, we're a team, and all that stuff. And I get it, right on. But I want to give a personal shout out to Cap because there was an issue down at the park. I was in the process of leaving a message on your phone. That's why I don't know how long I rambled on, but he was pulling up right in the middle of texting, so right in the middle of talking, so I just hung up and went and talked to him. He said, "What's the problem?" I told him what the problem was. He said, "Man, that's no problem." He says, "We've got this covered." He said, "What about he was even looking for other problems. He said, "What about the water tank?" He says, we're going to fill up the water tank, we're ready to roll." He had it and held it down so quick that I was surprised that after he left, Fred Starling was there and he was like, "Well, go City of Burlington." And so, and it's just, I know that every situation can't work out that way. Though we'd love it to, there's always going to be some problems. And that was, there was something that needed to be done that, man, our guys have been busy. But I want to thank Fred Starling for being understanding. But I want to thank Captain Hoshek. You make sure you tell, I want to do something special for him, but I don't have to fight him to get it done. We'll see how that goes. But just his attitude that day, I'm telling you, the way he came in and handled it, I wish everything could be handled the way that he handled it. Just everything that he said, everything that he did, dude, it was perfect. So I was really proud that day, just the way they held it down. And even though the chief did show up in his shorts with his legs hanging out, it was shameful. I was still glad to see the chief there representing. We try to make sure that we do that and get out in the community. We want to continue to do that, and nobody can say that we don't. That's it. So, if there's nothing else, can I get a motion?
Move to close?
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen, take us out.
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray.
Aye.
McCampbell.